The reason that we're anxious to have a conversation with Congressman Ogles, I actually invited him before this news. There he is. I just invited him before this news broke, as a matter of fact. We wanted to talk to Andy about border security. I wanted to discuss the Department of Defense and the fact that Lloyd Austin is missing in action. And to this moment, I don't know that anyone knows where Lloyd Austin is. We've got a dysfunctional southern border that's creating a terrorist problem in the United States of America. We have funding issues moving forward into 2024. So we welcome Congressman Andy Ogles to discuss all of those matters on the program with us. Andy, good to have you back. Happy New Year.
Well, Happy New Year, and thank you for having me on. You're my first radio hit back in Nashville in the new year. So thanks for having me.
Well, I'm glad you're back. I hope you had some rest and relaxation. It's a new year, Andy, but the same old song and dance with liberal attack media going after you. And I wanted to give you a first opportunity to respond to this so we can make sure that we do this. It's important. I mean, obviously, you've seen the story from News Channel 5. You've seen that the Legal Campaign Center is now demanding that an ethics probe be opened against you, saying that there was discrepancies in your financial disclosures. What say you, sir?
You know, we've worked, open book with the FEC and whatever. You know, we changed accountants early on in the campaign. We actually reached out to them after doing a self-audit. I mean, so, but that's what you do when you're outspoken, the way I have been, when you're literally one of the most conservative members of Congress, they try to just chink away. And so we've got serious business to do, and we keep moving forward and doing that.
What do you expect? I mean, do you expect to need to hire legal representation to push back on these complaints? What do you expect your answer, your response to these complaints will be, Andy?
I'll leave that into the hands of the accountant and all those folks that handle that. I don't have hands on that, but no, I don't expect any need for that kind of representation. Does it surprise you at all that they're coming after you like this? No, again, unfortunately, I mean, you've seen, with the weaponization of the Justice Department against Trump, with the weaponization of the Justice Department against the J6 folks. I mean, there is an intentional attack against conservatives taking place in this country, and it should horrify you, should terrify you. And so the fact that I'm under attack almost constantly isn't a surprise, but I'm not going to back down. I'm going to keep doing what I do. I'm a member of the House Freedom Caucus. We're the tip of the spear at trying to cut spending on securing the border, on accountability with the DOJ and the Secretary of State and all the other woke secretaries out there. I was just recently elected to the House Freedom Caucus Board of Directors because I've been so outspoken. So that being said, it's not a surprise. It's unfortunate, but that is the state of our country. And I think it's canary in the coal mine of what may happen to our country if we don't start fighting back.
And just final thought on this, and then I want to move on to, frankly, more important matters. But I just want to give you one more opportunity. You feel comfortable in how your campaign raised money, and you feel comfortable that all of these accusations against you will eventually be dismissed as nothing more than that, liberal accusations. You feel comfortable that you've done the right thing with regard to your finance disclosures?
Oh, sure. And like I said, we have reached out to the FEC. We did our own self-audit. I mean, so again, it's one of those, we're going above and beyond. And quite frankly, the FEC has been great to work with. You have a question, they give you an answer. You ask for help, they give you help. And so, and I think that's key. And if we find a mistake or they find a mistake, then we'll fix it. I mean, that's what you do. And so again, they're looking for any way to attack me. They will continue to attack me. Part of that, I think, is it's weaponized to try to get you to sit down and shut up. But I refuse to do so. Oddly enough, we had some interns over the holiday break. They were kind of, my office is very busy. I offer a lot of amendments and pieces of legislation. And so they went back over the last decade. And the average member of Congress, freshman member of Congress, in their first 2 years will author somewhere between, 20, 30, 35 bills in their first 2 years. In my first year, and we just completed the year, my first year, I've authored 87. But I've continued to point out areas of the government that need to be fixed, that need to be addressed, that need to be held accountable, and I'll continue to do so. The D.C. establishment, the liberals out there, they don't like that, but that's what you elected me to do, and I won't relent. End of story.
Andy, what is the biggest storyline right now for you in Washington, D.C.? Is it the southern border? Is it the fact that we don't have funding in place, long-term funding in place for 2024, and we have a Republican House and a Democrat-led Senate that has to get together on that? What is it? Foreign entanglements? Is it the absence of our Secretary of Defense? Lloyd Austin has just been missing in action for the last week. What is number one on your priority list right now, or can you pick one?
Yeah, I mean, this sounds like the script to a really bad movie, but unfortunately, it's playing out before our eyes. I think when you look at the impact to our republic and to the states, the biggest story and the thing that's got to be number one, number two, and number three on everybody's list is the border. When you look at the state of Tennessee, for example, we did a little digging. It's costing the state of Tennessee almost $1 billion a year. Illegal immigration is costing our state almost $1 billion a year. That's a lot of money. That's benefits for veterans, mental health. That's access to education for our kids. I mean, you just go down the list, better equipment, et cetera, for our first responders. There's areas of needs all over the state of Tennessee. And instead, we as taxpayers in Tennessee are funding illegals, people who broke the law. They are criminals. By the moment they step foot on our soil illegally, they became criminals. They're in violation of the law. And so, but you and I are having to fund that. I have a problem with that. And when you look over the course of the Biden administration, you've had 8 million people. 8 million. That's larger than the state of Tennessee. You've had an entire state's worth of people. A rather large state, right? Like we're in the top 20. Has migrated into our country under Joe Biden. That's a problem. And so that's got to be the thing. On the area of funding, obviously that's a huge concern. I'm a Freedom Caucus member. We fight on that. But like you said, you've got Mitch McConnell, our Republican in the Senate, working with Schumer, working with the White House. I hate to say it this way, but he's working against us in the House. So you're not going to get a whole lot done there. But the border should be on everybody's priority list. And when you have mayors of blue cities screaming, shut down the border, that should tell you right there what's got to be first.
I mean, obviously, you've got a consideration on the table in the House of Representatives to impeach Alejandro Mayorkas. It is not unprecedented in American history that you impeach a cabinet member if the president of the United States would not do something about a cabinet member seemingly ignoring his legal and constitutional responsibility. Do you believe that Alejandro Mayorkas should be impeached?
I do, and I fully support, Congressman Green and his efforts in Homeland Security. He's the chairman of that committee, pushing forward with an impeachment. Chairman Green and I spoke at an event Saturday night with Senator Ted Cruz, and that was one of the topics of conversation, is that when you look at the dereliction of duty, when you look at the literal invasion that's taking place at our southern border, if there was ever a cabinet official that should be impeached, he's certainly high on that list. And so now, will we have the votes? Will it move forward? Time will tell, but I certainly support it. And again, 8 million. I mean, I don't care where you're at on the other side of this coin. Like when you start talking about, all right, what do you do with all those people? I believe, and I'm just going to say this, and I tend to be hardcore on this issue. If you come here illegally, you should never be eligible to become a citizen of this country. We get to pick who comes here. We get to pick who gets deported. We get to pick who stays. And so that being said, but regardless of where you're at or your audience is on that issue, everyone should be able to agree that 8 million people coming into this country illegally, the vast majority of which our government has no idea where they are now. Period. Has no idea where they are.
Well,
that's criminal. It's treason.
Because the Biden administration, correct me if I'm wrong, Andy, they're intentionally dispersing them so that they are not congregating. I mean, I understand that Greg Abbott and other governors have done some of this to try to make a point to sanctuary cities that Texas and other areas are overrun. But the Biden administration is intentionally dispersing them around the country so we don't have those optics, right? of the numbers, right? I mean, in Eagle Pass and Del Rio, the sheer numbers, the thousands and thousands and thousands of individuals, it was creating this almost sense of dread and panic amongst the American population. So now they're intentionally trying to covertly disperse them through the U.S., so we don't really know how many numbers that there are.
Well, and we have some idea. Of course, one could question, how accurate, how many getaways are there, that kind of thing. But, they're being processed, but then again, they're just set free. And so, like you said, they're being dispersed all over the country. Once they're dispersed, they're kind of free at will. You'll never get them back. And so time will tell what happens, but I think Mayorkas certainly should be impeached. And quite frankly, I think that impeachment inquiry and process will happen much, much faster than what you might see with Joe Biden.
Do you believe, I think that I have spoken to you about this before, do you believe that it is necessary to dismantle or disband the FBI, to deconstruct the FBI and reconstruct it?
Yeah, I mean, I think there has to be an overhaul. Part of that is just the culture at the FBI. I mean, when you think about the FBI or any of our intelligence agencies, they should be beyond reproach. They should be there for the American people, but instead it's become very political. You have, agents that have been forced out because they're conservative. It's really become an agent of the administration, and that's a problem. And, our founding fathers warned us that during times of crisis, your liberty was most in jeopardy. And we saw that play out during COVID. We now see this played out with the J6 vote. We see this playing out going into the 24 election. And I think a lot of people are concerned, will you have an honest, open, and fair election in 24? Again, time will tell. I think a lot of states have taken steps and measures to improve the election process, but I think transparency is going to be key. But as you go back to your original question, yes, there's got to be an overhaul of the FBI. What that looks like, I don't know, but something's got to be done to, quite frankly, protect the American people.
And finally, to circle back where we began, Congressman Andy Ogles, by the way, of the 5th Congressional District, is with us this afternoon on the Matt Murphy Show on Super Talk. To circle back, the Campaign Legal Center has filed a complaint against you in the Office of Congressional Ethics. What will be your official response, or have you figured that out as of yet?
Like I said, I haven't even read it. We'll have a response when I have more information. I'll let you know. But again, this is what they do. When you're outspoken the way I am, you're going to get attacked. And so to have some entity come after me or to come after Mark Green, like they were excoriating him a week ago, this is unfortunately politics as usual.
Andy, thank you for your time. Thank you for your service, and we'll talk to you again very soon. Take care.
Absolutely. Thank you.
There's Congressman Andy Ogles, and question asked, question answered. He's not had time to read the complaint, says that he will have an official response when he does. The Campaign Legal Center has filed a complaint today with the Congressional Office of Congressional Ethics, and made a comparison to Ogles' conduct to George Santos. One could say, depending on where you are on this matter, one could say that they smelled blood in the water. Now they're going after Ogles. I don't know the details as of yet. I will read the complaint along with you, hopefully, and we'll see where the chips fall, asked and answered in terms of questioning Andy Ogles today.